My mother moved away to the big city so she could pursue her dream and the lifelong goal that she wanted, which was this new career. I was still in high school, 17 years old, so she had to send somebody to come watch me. Who does she send? Her new boyfriend, who she's known for barely a month. I caught my stepdad cheating on my mom, so I took a blunt stab, and now I don't know how to face my mom's anger. You see, people are so darn cunning these days and, well, dumb. Like my disarrayed family. You can't trust no one out there. I'm saying this because I'm in a crappy situation because my mom, well, she trusts someone that she should not. She has been super self-dependent for her entire life. So when she found a guy, well, a man, she clung to him like a magnet since she wanted warmth. However, life is giving her red flags, and she still is not recognizing them as she has fallen for a man she should not have. The man is super cunning and super muscular. Yeah, I know my habit of saying super each time is kind of annoying, but you get my point that sometimes you just can't stand some people, and so you shouldn't. I've come here seeking suggestions from people on this platform. I'll continue elaborating on the desired situation I'm in right now. But before that, let me brief you about the background of the people on whom this story's created for. My name's Steven, and I'm a college student. I used to live with my mom Sally in our condo, but later, she moved to a different city for work. She was the general manager at a newly opened tech company in the state, and she had been so devoted to her role and been quite famous in the field for her achievements, and she finally got an offer from a well-known tech company established in a different city. My mom had no choice but to leave me, and I also did not want to become an obstacle to her dreams. I told her I would be fine and she could go without worrying about me. It happened 2 years ago when my mom moved out. I was a high schooler. My mom had a friend who arrived in our city for work and was to rent a place to stay for a longer period. So, Mom asked her to stay at our place so she could also keep an eye on me until I turned 18. My mom and I, we did visit each other whenever we had holidays or got the chance to, or whenever I just missed her. Everything was going well until that man showed up. That's right. Until a year ago, I was living with my aunt, or my mom's friend precisely, who took care of me as she continued to work in the city. At the beginning of last year, I received a video call from my mom, who told me she was sending someone to look after me as her friend was planning to move out and buy a small apartment. I had no issue, right? I asked who the new person would be. She smiled and told me that she's been seeing someone for a year. She said she met a man named Jack in the same city. You know, my dad, he died in a car accident. I was 12. My mom never really got into a relationship after Dad died. Mom just wanted to take care of me and be a self-dependent woman. She isolated herself from society, and though she was still young, she would not dare go on a blind date or any other places. She was comfortable in her own skin and her own life. So, when she told me that she had been seeing someone, it was a delightful shock. I was happy for her. She told me about a man who was 3 years younger than my mom, but neither she nor, well, did I mind that. She further said that she and Jack had been in a living relationship for the past few months, and we were very happy together. She liked Jack a lot, and I wondered why, and then I saw his picture. He looked a lot like Dad. His eyes were on the same brown shade, and there was one thing that my mom missed the most after Dad passed. His eyes. They were full of love for her. I learned that Jack was coming here because he wanted to start a business that would have, well, something to do with technology, as the city I live in is a so-called tech hub. Well, lots of tech companies, both new and old. He needed a place to stay in the initial days. Mom offered him to live at our house. It would also put her at ease to know that someone who was looking after me, well, her best friend was leaving soon. I'm okay with this setup, to be honest, but you might wonder how my mom in just a couple of months trusts a man this easily. But as they say, no, love is blind. Jack arrived some 10 or 11 months ago, and I could not realize it earlier, but he has been using these tactics to extort money from my mother. He has not started any business here, rather, he wastes his time at home doing nothing. A few months ago, I had my final exam, so I was busy with preparations and going to school. I'd isolated myself in my room, and I did not notice how comfortable Jack had become in the house. That wasn't even his in the first place. Initially, he would make visits to investors and clients so that he could eventually start a business that he had been planning for a year, he told my mom. Yet, I have not seen his business kickstart even after a few months. Since I'm a minor, my mom has not allowed me to have my own bank account because she believes that it will spoil me. So, she wires me money through a different bank account that I receive every month, and I can only take out a certain amount each time, and I'm required to sustain a whole month with them. Ever since Jack has come, Mom has started including an additional amount for Jack's use. I don't know what he's been doing. I mean, clearly, he must have been doing something. He's 49 years of age, which is not a small number, and he's still asking money from my mom to support him in his business, which is out of sight. I told Mom about him using the money recklessly without even putting it to any use. She scolded me for being meddlesome in someone else's business, and she said I was being disrespectful towards somebody who was much older than me. She even said that I had become spoiled since she left me in the city to live on my own. She said that she knew that Jack was doing good with the money, and I was unable to see it. She even declared that I should start calling him StepDad, since she and he planned to get married soon. It came as a blow to me, but never mind. Let's move forward with the main matter at hand. I thought that my mom might have known where Jack was spending the money, and I doubted in vain, but my doubt was right. I knew something was off, shady, about Jack. I noticed he was spending money on clothes and even bought a new cell phone. I told my mom about it, but her response was unexpected. She sided with Jack, saying he needed to groom himself and needed a new phone as his last one was old and broken. I thought, why is she supporting him and fulfilling his needs? One day I confronted him, asking what happened to his business without coming across as rude or showing any sign of doubt. He was sitting on the couch and was occupied looking at his phone. He looked up at me and very proudly told me that it was in the process. He said he was still planning a few things before diving into the venture itself. I was further made aware of his habits, being overly cautious, and for a moment he had managed to convince me. I further inquired whether he managed to get clients and patrons. He responded in the positive, showing his excitement through his high-pitched tone of voice. Then he quickly looked at his watch and said, I got a meeting to attend to." I noticed that the watch was expensive and new. I asked whether he had bought it recently, and he agreed. Yes, he did. He said he would buy one for me too if I did well in my exams. Jack had never really cared about what I was doing with my life, which is very unlikely to happen when someone's going to become your stepdad very soon. Still, he showed no excitement or any sign that would tell me that he cared for me. I mean, I can clearly say that he gave not a damn about me. Jack gave up and rushed towards the door, and as he reached the door, he looked back to me and said, "Tell Sally that I went to a meeting today." He winked at me and left. I was dumbfounded by his move, and soon I reckoned that Mom must have spoken to him about my doubts. Honestly, my doubt had not worn off yet. I let it go by thinking it would all become clear whether he was telling the truth or not. Soon I was to join college, so I asked Mom to provide me some financial aid, so I had saved some by doing some part-time jobs myself. I wanted to be less of a burden to her, and she wired money to me soon, but I didn't get it. I went to the ATM and my account was empty. It did not make any sense as I had not even spent the money on anything. I asked myself, who had access to the same account? Who had it? Oh, such an easy answer. Jack. I called Mom, but she texted back saying she did not have time to talk to me then. She was in a meeting, while I was clearly suffering from hostility towards Jack. I was so mad. But more at my mother. I texted Jack, basically telling him that I was not returning home that day and was going to stay at my friend's place. He just texted back with a thumbs up emoji. I was restless to sleep that day, thinking about why and where Jack must have spent such a huge amount of money. I got up and told my friend that I was leaving. Since it was late, he offered to drop me at his dad's car. I reached home, waving goodbye to my friend. That day I saw something which made me extremely furious, that I did not even confront Jack about the money matter. I asked him to leave. Leave the house. Then and there, without even letting him speak. He clearly did not want to speak either because he knew that he's made a mistake, and it happened just 2 days ago. And today, Mom showed up coming from an early morning flight. She came and started yelling at me. She said I've ruined her future and she wanted to marry someone finally, but I wrecked her plans. I was heartbroken, hearing those words coming out of my mother's mouth. I tried to tell her the truth, but she was so furious that she told me she didn't want to look at me. I stormed out of the hall and ran to my room. Now, my question to you guys is this. Am I the a-hole for kicking Jack out? What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. We're going to look at some top comments before we hop into update 1. The first comment says this. I don't know why people make such a big deal out of it when a woman starts supporting a man financially. I mean, when men do that, their whole life supporting women, where do you people go then? Oh, you're such a liar. At first you said Jack was extorting money, and then you said he was cheating on your mom. Dude, can you keep your story straight? At least explain how he cheated. Don't leave us guessing, you got it? Comment 2. I think you did the right thing, bro. You kicked that jerk out. The only thing that's ludicrous in this situation is your mother's behavior. Has she lost any screws in her head? How come from being self-dependent, she suddenly turned into a Jack-dependent? LMAO. Tell your mom the truth, bro, if you want to save your butt, LOL. Update number 1. You see, I have no issue with women supporting men financially. I guess you're blind to see that Jack is using my mom's money and wasting it. He is not a good man. Could you not understand that when I mentioned how he spent it just like that? Well, I'll tell you how he cheated, because it was on my part. I appreciate the people showing empathy. But I want suggestions, guys. Only one person has asked me to tell my mom the truth ASAP, and I did follow the advice without wasting much time. I'm here to update you about that. It's been a week since I asked Jack to leave the house, and a few days since my mom returned just to yell at me. The situation did not change when I told her, and after she calmed down, obviously, Jack had taken out all my money from the account, which included the amount that she had sent for my college fees. She looked at me in disbelief and said, Jack would never do such a thing behind her back. Well, I restrained myself because I did not want her to be heartbroken even worse. Stealing money is an obvious issue, but cheating is a whole different truth that could lead her to live in a regret for the rest of her life. She tried to reach out to Jack, who neither picked up her calls nor did respond to her text. I was happy that Jack was finally gone, but I wanted Mom to file a report against Jack for he robbed all my college fees. She refused, as she wanted to first confront Jack herself. I had to respect her decision, even if it was taken in her frenzy. Now, even I doubt how my mom became such a Jack-dependent person. She should have been able to see through his lies and everything, right? I'm writing this in the gap of a few minutes. My mother just told me she received a text back from Jack who wanted to meet her in private. I could not trust this man, so I told her to be extra cautious around him. I don't know what lies this man has under her tongue, now that the truth is right in front of my mother. I'll keep you updated. Until then, I hope trouble stays away from all those who support me. Update number 2. I'm sorry that it took me a week to come back and update you about the situation. I was being grateful to see how so many people were suggesting things that might help me, but I guess nothing can be done now. Jack has done something really sinful. He's turned my mother against me. The water has gone above my head, and I can't bear to listen to my mother humiliating me for nothing. That jerk Jack narrated a really amusing story to my mom, as he went to mother and claimed that he'd caught me making out with a girl. So, when he threatened to tell my mom about it, I booted him right out of the house, telling him that neither my mom nor I gave 2 cents about his existence. My words hit him hard. It was a real punch to the gut, and he left with a shattered heart. That hurt him, and he left heartbroken, which was the reason he was not picking up her calls. My reaction to his tale was, what a fat lie. I can't even believe he could make up stories just like that. I told my mom to ask him to become a storyteller instead, but then that would be an insult to genuine ones. She shot her angry eyes at me, and I told her the truth. I had to. But first, let me give you some context for my mom's anger. So, I had told you that I caught Jack red-handed doing something really unexpected, and so I had to kick him out of the house. A few days later, my mom returned, and she blamed me for ruining her wedding plans. But then I told her how Jack had emptied the account in which Mom had sent me money for college fees. My mother tried to reach out to Jack, who later responded for sure, asking to meet with my mom. 2 days ago, my mom went to see Jack so she could confront him about the money and also ask him where he had been spending all her money so far. My mom had gone around noon and came back late into the evening time. I constantly tried to reach out, worrying about what might have happened during their meet-up. When she came, she looked extremely furious, as she did not even look at me and asked me to follow her into the hall. Well, I was asking her questions the whole walk, but she did not respond to any of them. Rather, she asked me to shut up. I went silent for a while, not knowing what had gone wrong this time, and as we reached the hall, she turned around and slapped me. I could literally feel the sensation for so long. As I was struggling to recover from the sensation, my mom went on and started telling how disappointed she was in me. She said she never believed her own son could do such a thing. She sat me down on the couch and started sobbing with her head in her hands, and I sat down beside her and tried to place my hand on her shoulder, but she shrugged it off aggressively. I asked her why she was crying and why did she slap me. I asked her why she was angry at me when I had not even done anything wrong. I was itching to ask her about the meeting, and as soon as I pronounced what had happened during the meeting, she looked up with raging eyes and told me to shut up. She said that Jack had told her everything. He told her the truth. And I wondered, what truth? That to say, I was to tell her the truth because I knew the truth about Jack. So, how come her tsunami of anger was sweeping the existence of the truth I knew? It didn't make sense. So I begged her to tell me what she meant, but what did she even mean? Mom told me that I told you at the beginning of this update, Jack lied to her about me. He completely changed the character in the act, and he narrated to my mother a lie. Maybe now you get the hint of how I caught him red-handed, right? Do you remember when I told you all about returning home late just because I was unable to sleep at my friend's house? Well, that day after my friend dropped me outside my house, I had my spare keys and did not want to wake Jack because I thought he must have been sleeping by then because it was past midnight. So, as I was cautious as not to make a sound, I was climbing the stairs when I heard giggles. Someone moaned loudly, and I could not believe what I've just heard. It was a sound made by a woman. I tried to peek in, but failed, and it continued, and finally I could not help but knock on the door. There was silence in the room. No voice responded, and I thought it must have been my stress making sounds in my head. As I was about to make a move, Jack opened the door. He was sweaty, wearing only his boxers, and he asked how come I've returned home this late. I looked at him from head to toe and inquired if there was someone else in the room. He said, no one's here. He asked me to go back to sleep, and, well, as soon as he turned his back to me and was closing the door behind him, I barged in with force so he could not stop me. I knew something was fishy. And it was. I saw a woman lying under the quilt in his bed, and Jack started saying sorry and asked me not to tell Mother. He said it was just a fling, and it only happened because he was drunk at the bar, and he brought the woman home. I wasn't listening to his stupid lies anymore. I told him that he's wasted both my mom's money and her time. He did not have to do that anymore, and he was free to leave. And if he did not leave, I would be dialing the number to the police station. Now, you guys tell me if I've done something wrong, please. Jack dismembered the truth when he presented it to my mother, and I asked her whether she really believed a man who had only been with her for about a year over her son whom she's given birth to. She yelled again, saying she did not know whom to trust and what to do now. I still refrained from telling her the truth and inquired what other lies Jack told her about the money. She said that Jack had taken the money out to invest in his business, and he thought that my mom sent money for him, which means he didn't know that Mom had sent money for college. I would say it's another lie on top of a lie, since I've told him the other day that I've saved some money and Mom would be sending the rest so I could submit my college fees. I told her that he was lying again, to which she bellowed that I had nothing to do with that since she was the one earning. Some of you were right in the comment section when you said how naive my mom could be. She's literally turned a blind eye to Jack, and she can't see through his lies. She's asked me to leave her alone without even allowing me to speak my side of the story. It's past midnight as I'm writing this update. I've decided to confront my mother today as soon as the dawn breaks. I'll tell you the truth, and we'll keep you all updated. Update number 3. I would like to thank you guys for the support that you've given me. I know I'm returning after 2 months to write this, but a lot has happened since my last update. Things did not turn out in my favor. My mom remained blind and acted stupid, and I see how so many people are asking underneath this update whether I told my mom the truth or not. Well, I did tell her the truth the next morning. Do you know what's really seething here? My mom did not believe me. She looked at me in disbelief and said that she would only believe me if I provided her with proof, and I made, a wonder in my mind. How come she believed Jack when he lied about me? I mean, what kind of proof did he provide to her? Ugh, I can't tell you how irked I was to see my mom react this way. She simply chose not to believe me for whatever reason it might be. I told her that I could not do anything to help her if she thought she was not in need of any help. I said she was being reckless about Jack. Just because she thought he was good did not mean he was a good person. He had been doing some horrible deeds and lying to her the whole time, and I would like to see that kind of business he finally ventured into after all the financial needs have been met. She asked if I was challenging her by questioning her choice, and I said yes, I was, because she was never that excessively gullible just because of a man. I asked her what happened to that woman who wanted to be self-dependent and take care of her only son. She looked at me, saying that her son is being unreasonable and rebellious and is not accepting his mistake. I told her that I've never made a mistake, though she's welcome to speculate and keep believing in a man's lies who has her wrapped around his finger. She asked me when my college would be opening, and I told her it would be next week. She said she was waiting for me to go and live in the hostel and do some retrospection when I was alone. In simpler terms, my mom wanted me to go away until I admitted my mistake, which I've never made. Well, it's almost been 2 months since I shifted to a hostel since my college is located in a different city. Ever since I came here, I have not called my mom, nor has she called me yet. Though I would be the one texting her occasionally, telling her about my studies and other stuff. I know my mom would come around because one day Jack's lie will come in front of her truth in a naked form. My mother even blamed me for ruining her wedding plans, but I know Jack has no intentions to marry her. And that day, I'll tell her how grateful I am to know that I'll finally have my old mom because the new one is just so naive. Till then, I'll say thanks to all of you for staying here and supporting me. I needed it all out of my system, and you helped me do that, so thank you. Comment number 1 from the final update. I have total sympathy for you, Steven. Don't mind, but your mom, Sally, is the biggest a-hole in this whole transaction of drama. How could she let a man do that to her? How could she be so brainless that she got brainwashed this easily? Ugh, I hate people who don't have control over their emotions. They are the ones who ruin the lives and then blame it on others. You're right when you said that she'll come around. I also feel and hope that she does. Otherwise, living with a man, stealing her money and cheating on her would be no less than living a lie. Her whole life could be a lie, then his love for her and her trust in him, a lie. Comment 2. I feel like your mom has other reasons as why she has such faith in Jack, but I guess we'll never know since that was the final update. Man, I respect your stance, but I would have become your fan if you had just punched that Jack in the face after catching him red-handed. He would have died from shame. Or maybe not, because he seems like the one who's thick-skinned. At first, I was going to say stalk Jack, but then he's the kind of man who can't handle his lies no matter how much he wants, since he's failed to hide them from you. Karma is no joke, don't worry. I'm waiting for your next update if it comes, if you wish to give it in the future at least. Well, to see that Jack has become a joke. Alright guys, so this story ended kind of on a cliffhanger. There was no more updates for it so far, but if there is any updates that come out, you guys will be the first to know about it. I can't believe OP's mother is so blinded by this new love. Everyone was saying how OP's mother has always been self-sufficient, all about her baby boy, and just doesn't let blind love get in the way of her proper thoughts. But it seems like Jack has her mind all messed up. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. How do you think this story is going to play out? I would love to hear from you guys. Luckily, OP was able to get the heck out of there and try to convince his mother, hey, you need to understand that this guy's not going to marry you, and you'll find out one day. Drop your comments down below. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories every single day. Stop by tomorrow, see what we're up to. I'll catch you then. It's cool to be kind. See ya.